All right, we are officially at the top of the hour. Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining us for another in our monthly webinar series. Today's presentation is entitled Generations and Money, Shifts, Pressures, and Lessons. My name is Jim Pauly. I'm your host. I'm joined today by my awesome coworker, Jennifer Louie, who is our moderator, and my equally awesome coworker, Carrie Vian, who's going to be presenting today. Carrie, let's bring you in for just a second and let you introduce yourself.
Sure. Thanks, Jim. I'm a wealth advisor with Alerus and been with the company for 17 years. My passion is to support individuals and families with financial planning and help them make informed decisions about budgeting, saving, investing, and retirement planning that will build financial security and create long-term success. I'm located in Grand Forks, North Dakota, with my husband and 13-year-old son.
Sounds terrific. Looking forward to the presentation. So we've got a couple of housekeeping items. For those of you who are joining today, you are on mute. If you'd like to submit some questions, we certainly would encourage that. And there are 3 dots at the bottom of your screen, and that will allow you to submit some questions, which Jennifer will be monitoring throughout the presentation today. And we will answer those questions once we get to the end of the presentation. If you're new to WebEx, there are a couple of things that you can adjust. You can adjust the video layout, and you're also able to adjust the audio portion of this presentation so it's a little bit more conducive and set up to your liking. This webinar is being recorded, and you'll be able to access it tomorrow on our Take Flight Financial Wellness Hub, which you can find at alerus.com/takeflight. Just a second here. Oh, sorry. At the bottom of the page, also, there's a link to previous webinars, as well as a number of financial calculators that we have for you. And we would encourage you to check those out for your own financial situation. Following today's presentation, there will be a survey. We'd ask you to fill that out. And we always want to provide valuable information in these webinars, and your feedback is extremely important for us to be able to do that. So again, short survey at the end of the presentation. We would encourage you to take care of that for us. So with that, no further ado, I'm going to turn things over to Carrie, and the floor is yours.
Thanks, Jim. I love this topic. Each generation has experienced changes or influences connected to economics, communication, and technology, and these have shaped our values. We're going to get to know each generation a little better, and you'll notice distinct differences as well as some similarities. We'll discuss what pressures generations experienced and discuss the lessons we've learned along the way. And finally, we'll provide a few action steps for you to consider and apply to your financial life. First up, we have a few trivia questions. Go ahead and place your answers in the chat. How much student loan debt do Americans currently hold? 100 million, 600 million, or $1.7 trillion?
Got a 600 million. Oh, got a couple C's, so 1.7 trillion.
Wonderful. Those of you who answered C are correct.
Lots of C's.
1.7 trillion is the total student loan debt right now. Next, how many baby boomers retire each day? 6,000, 8,000, or 10,000?
Oh gosh. All over the board. A, B, C, maybe more B's. What's the answer?
Thanks for moderating that, Jennifer. Those of you who answered C are correct. 10,000 baby boomers retire each day. And finally, how much wealth is scheduled to transfer over the next 25 years? 800 million, $102 trillion, or $124 trillion?
Lots of C's. We've got an A and a B. Again, kind of all over the board at this point.
All right, thank you for your participation, you guys. Those who answered C again are correct. $124 trillion. It's a substantial amount, and we'll discover why that might be. So let's move forward.
All right, we'll take a look at some characteristics of the different generations side by side.
Each generation was raised during a unique social and economic and political climate that influenced their values, beliefs, behaviors, and perspectives. Here's an overview of the six alongside each other. Note the birth years and age ranges that apply to each. And depending on the resource you use, these dates and ages might differ slightly or even overlap. The newest generation is Gen Alpha, and they're still in their formative years. Determine where you fall along with your friends and family members. The silent generation is also known as traditionalists. They were born between 1925 and 1945, just after the First World War and throughout the Second World War. Many experienced the Great Depression, and an emphasis was placed on being frugal, respectful, and loyal. This group is enjoying retirement and prefers handwritten notes to emails. When members returned home from World War II, the birth rate spiked during 1946 to 64, creating the baby boomer generation. 76 million babies were born during this time. This generation's iconic entertainment was the Woodstock Music Festival in 1969. These folks are goal-oriented, they enjoy cultivating deep relationships, and prefer face-to-face communication. 49% of baby boomers expect to or are working past age 70. And as we already found out, many are in the thick of retirement planning as 10,000 retire daily. Generation X was born between 1965 and 1980, and they helped the rise of consumerism and credit card usage. They favor job stability and strive for a comfortable work-life balance and effectively execute the work hard, play hard mentality. Many grew up in households with MTV and became accustomed to both parents working outside the home. 95% of them have a Facebook page and 74% use the internet for banking. Many Gen Xers are also facing a sandwich crunch and are navigating the balance between focusing on their careers, the needs of raising a family, and caring for aging parents all simultaneously. The Millennials were born between 1981 and 96. This generation is often split into two groups, with the older Millennials being born in the early 80s. They experienced modem internet connection, while those born in the late 1990s only know digital connection. The Millennials witnessed the tragedy of 9/11 during their education years, and most of them were encouraged to pursue higher education. As a result, they are on track to become the most educated generation in the history of our country, and they have accumulated student loan debt reaching over 1 trillion in peak borrowing years. Many younger millennials have fully integrated their personal and professional lives, and most prefer texting to phone calls. Show of hands, millennials, has someone ever called you and you thought that could have been text? Generation Z was born between 1997 and 2012. This group experienced a mix of traditional and digital learning during the COVID-19 pandemic, and we see a high adoption rate of AI tools, including ChatGPT. They grew up during a time that allowed them to be fully digitally connected. 42% of Gen Z engages with TikTok because they prefer personalized algorithm content. For most of it, for most of the Gen Z, it was an eye-opening experience to receive their first paycheck and realizing that income taxes are a thing. Gen Z values authenticity and strives to ensure their place of employment aligns with their beliefs, and they place more importance on this than wages. Generation Alpha are currently elementary and middle school students, and McCrindle calls them screenagers. My son is a Gen Alpha, and I can relate. Technology has influenced their lives from the beginning. During the pandemic, many became familiar with e-learning and virtual classrooms. They view the internet mainly through videos. Also, 95% of them have a cell phone. Have you ever handed your phone or tablet to a Gen Alpha kiddo for tech help and they resolved your issue? McCrindle indicates that by the year 2029, Gen Alpha's economic impact will exceed $5.46 trillion. And while some generational characteristics are still evolving, they are the future consumer.
All right, now we'll touch on a few financial shifts regarding debt, technology, and retirement.
The debt load serviced by generation differs, as well as the type of debt. Roughly 43 million Americans have student loan debt totaling $1.7 trillion, as we learned, and the average balance is around $32,000. Between 2006 and 2023, federal student loan balances increased by 267%. Millennials service the most student debt, followed by Gen X. Higher student loan debt makes it difficult to save for a home down payment or pay off credit card debt. Gen X and Boomers service the majority of mortgage debt. Rocket Mortgage shared the average monthly payment in 2025 was $2,030, and the average 30-year fixed rate was 6.68. Americans service over $1.25 trillion of credit card debt, and Forbes reports the average balance is around $6,600 with an average interest rate near 25%. Roughly 33% of retired individuals carry no debt. All right, CBS News lays out the evolution of the telephone really nice. So I've captured a few models here. The most recent changes between devices seems to be happening more drastically and at a much quicker pace. This device specifically changed how we connect with family, obtain information, and conduct business. According to a Ginny article, 34.7% of boomers bank digitally, followed by 26.9% of millennials, and roughly 25% of Gen X. Also, 9 out of 10 Gen Z prefer an app experience and rarely visit a brick and mortar branch office. The leaps and bounds the telephone has taken in just the past 20 years is incredible. Today, not only can you use your smartphone to call your bank or see how the market is doing, you can also do this from a wristwatch, which is incredible. Each generation has saved for retirement at a different pace. According to Fidelity, the research considered data from 25 million participants in March. The balances are higher for older generations as they've contributed a bit longer. All generations appear to be taking advantage of employer match dollars, which is great news. However, the employee contribution rate decreases with younger generations, likely a result of having to service either mortgage obligations, student loan debt, credit card debt, or a mix. We've also seen a shift in retirement plans offering automatic enrollment and automatic contribution escalation, which is a great way to save for retirement and ensure you stay on track.
A variety of economic obstacles have shaped generations and influenced financial decisions.
Yep, quite a few. The current federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour, which has remained unchanged since 2009. However, it has risen steadily since 1940. Right now, most baby boomers are in or nearing retirement, and Gen Xers are in their peak earning years. The Federal Reserve economic data chart here indicates the median household income in the US has increased since the mid 80s. In 2024, a typical household earned $83,730. According to Education Data Initiative, the average cost for an in-state tuition and on-campus living was $27,146 for the 22-23 academic year. And according to the Federal Reserve, students who attend a public four-year college, 40% of those will take on debt. All right, owning a home has always been one of the staples of the American dream for all generations. However, there is a significant housing insecurity when it comes to younger generations affording homes. Contributing factors here, as we just saw, include wages, increased cost of living, debt obligations, and housing availability and affordability. Ballard indicates the country is short roughly 3 million homes, resulting in higher prices. And according to Zillow, the average home cost in 2026 is $370,320. The Federal Reserve found in 2025 that 49% of young adults, those younger than 30, say they live with a parent.
The financial lessons we learn are often shaped by our experiences and perspectives. Let's take a look at a few.
That's right. Each generation has experienced the advent of different financial tools. We know that boomers prefer budgeting tools, and only 12% might be comfortable with digital payments. A great deal of their wealth is in real estate, and IRAs allowed those without employer pensions to save for retirement. Gen Xers grew up with PCs and explored online stock trading. They prefer a convenient, do it yourself investing culture and gravitate towards financial planning tools. Millennials are very tech savvy and are comfortable with mobile banking, electronic statements, and digital payment options. And growing up fully digitally, Gen Z embraces tap to pay and vendors who offer buy now, pay later services. You might see those online. They are comfortable owning and trading cryptocurrencies. And Fidelity shared in 2025 that 95% of Gen Z directs their retirement contributions to Roth. Parents of Gen Alpha encourage their kids to pay attention to their money and invest. Most of them have a savings account, and it's likely many of them will not use cash in the future. Other considerations here include using 529 accounts for education, and a recent addition to the scene are the new Trump accounts for minors. When it comes to managing money, each generation values solutions that align with their preferences. Another lesson multiple generations have taught all of us pertains to investing and being diversified. Risk tolerance reflects our emotional or psychological comfort with risk, and it tells us how much market volatility we're willing to deal with and not panic. We anticipate our risk tolerance will change over time due to a shorter time horizon, life circumstances, goals, or resources. Time horizon indicates how long we plan to be invested before we might need to access our money. Stocks are higher in risk and represent ownership of a company. When you invest in stocks, you take on more risk for a potential higher return. Going down in risk, we find bonds. When you invest in bonds, you are lending your money to an entity, either government or corporation, in exchange for appreciation or interest. And cash is easily accessible or liquid, and these are money market funds or stable value funds, and they are the least volatile and considered low risk. We typically see younger generations have a more aggressive asset allocation consisting of more stocks. They have a longer time horizon and are less bothered by volatility. And some folks will reduce stock exposure as their time horizon shortens or when their comfort level regarding that volatility changes. But ultimately, diversification helps us invest across different asset classes and markets, and it can reduce your risk and also increase your chance of achieving long-term goals. All right, there's a lot of numbers on this screen, but the lesson here is no one ever said that they wish they saved less money for retirement. Over the last 100 years, the average annual return of the S&P 500 index was 10.3%. There are a lot of figures on this slide, so we're going to make a few assumptions. The analysis reflects the compounding of a $5,000 annual contribution over 31 years. We assume a 10% annual return and that the individual contributed a total of $155,833 over that time frame. It took 11 years to reach a balance of 100,000, which can seem like forever when you're in the thick of it, but reaching the next several $100,000 increments doesn't take as long. In fact, it speeds up. The rule of 72 is at work here. It states when you divide 72 by your expected annual rate of return, in our model it's 10%, so 72 divided by 10 equals 7.2, which says your investment, if it's earning 10%, should double every 7.2 years. If you delay saving for retirement, you could miss out on a later opportunity to double your balance, which could be significant. The main lesson here is the sooner you get started investing, the better, because of the amazing effect of compound growth and having time on your side. A significant lesson we learn across generations is the fact that over time, wealth changes hands. Vanguard predicts that over the next 25 years, between 2024 and 2049, $124 trillion will transfer to heirs. Most recently, there has been an increasing interest for some baby boomers to pass down an earlier inheritance and gift to their children and grandchildren now so they can see the impact of it. They also attribute this earlier gifting to the fact that their kids could really benefit from a gift sooner rather than later. 64% of advisors say their clients are concerned that their children aren't exactly ready for an inheritance. These are just a couple examples of the many family dynamics for you to consider. As we wrap up, all of us have deep-rooted generational values and perspectives, and no matter where you are in your financial journey, your wealth is a tool to help bring your values to life and create a legacy. In a hurry, we traveled from Woodstock to TikTok and stopped a few places along the way. We discovered baby boomers value retirement planning, Gen Xers favor financial stability and swiftly balanced sandwich responsibilities. Millennials love social media and align money with values. Being fully digital, Gen Z values authenticity and innovation. And Gen Alpha prefers gamification and interactive experiences. I encourage you to consider your own family dynamics and embrace similarities and respect differences. Determine how you can alleviate some of the pressures you face today. Establish a plan and designate how much you will save, spend, and invest. And begin investing as soon as possible to discover the powerful effect of compound growth. Periodically, review your asset allocation and ensure you're invested appropriately. There are so many tools available depending on your preference to help you organize your financial house. Alerus advisors and bankers are available to help you confidently navigate your finances. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Carrie. That was terrific. I found myself nodding in agreement at a lot of the comments and a lot of the, which silo I happen to be in. We're gonna take a quick pause here and see if there are any questions that came in during the presentation.
Yeah, if you have questions, please submit those now if you haven't already. Just looking here, we have a couple. When you spoke about managing finances, the Gen Zers are tapped into the buy now, pay later option, does that mean that that age group is higher in debt?
Good question, whoever posted that. It could be. So Gen Z really likes that buy now, pay later, more so than older generations because of their interest and familiarity with social media and online shopping. And so, they are facing the most student loan debt, and coupled with a higher cost of living. So I think that service allows them to spread out a purchase over a longer period of time rather than paying it all at once or using a credit card that's going to charge them interest. Another thing would be, I think because we live in an era when we enjoy instant gratification, these services accommodate that. But I do encourage you to evaluate your financial situation and goals when it comes to needs versus wants before you click that button.
All right, we did get another one. Do you think it is wise for older generations to try and learn how to be more like the younger generations?
Hmm. Well, that's interesting. It might depend on what avenue you're talking about, whether it's comfort level with online banking or viewing accounts or electronic statements, or would it would that pertain to maybe financial planning tools? It could be. I think the important thing to know there is that different options are available, and it's just a matter of getting to know what's out there and talking it through with your advisor or your banker to see what might be the best fit for you and your needs at the time.
All right, and just one more. Why do things cost so much more than they used to? They certainly do. So we're talking about inflation. What do you have to say about that, Carrie?
Oh my goodness, they cost more and more all the time, don't they? We feel it when we go to the grocery store. We feel it when we fill our tank up. Inflation is the general increase in prices over time. Right now, it's 3.5%. So when the cost of goods or services increase, our dollar doesn't stretch as far, right? Doesn't get us as much as it used to. And we've experienced this probably in many areas, but a few that come to mind would be, right, gas, food, healthcare, housing, insurance. I mean, all of those we've really felt the increase in prices.
All right, that looks like it's it.
Thank you.
Really, really good questions. Well, we'd like to thank everybody who attended today. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something useful out of it. If you'd like to have a discussion about your personal financial situation, please call the number that you're seeing on the screen, and we'll get you in contact with an advisor who can chat with you. Please don't forget to do the survey. Very, very important, and we'd love to see your responses to that. And with that, I'm going to say thanks to everybody. Thanks to my two awesome coworkers who joined me today. Thanks for everybody who joined in. Have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week.